The morning mist hung low over Falls Creek, curling around the jagged peaks like ghostly fingers. The air was still, heavy with the kind of silence that comes before something terrible is discovered. Ranger Elias Carter was the first to notice the faint shimmer of color through the fog. A bright red fabric caught on a branch, fluttering like a warning. By the time he climbed the ridge, the truth was laid bare before him. Two women, motionless, their bodies half covered in snow. The call went out at 6:43 a.m., and by 7:30 the small mountain town of Silver Pine was alive with flashing lights. Sheriff Nora Keene stood at the edge of the cordoned-off site, her breath visible in the cold. Two victims, both female, mid-20s to early 30s. The deputy reported. No ID on one. The other has a driver's license. Amy Lowell, from Seattle. Seattle, Nora muttered, rubbing her temple. What the hell were they doing up here? The Falls Creek Trail was known for its dangerous switchbacks and unpredictable weather. Hikers avoided it this time of year. But as the snow thickened and the morning stretched on, one thing became clear. This wasn't an accident. Nora crouched beside the bodies. There were bruises along one woman's wrists. The other had blood under her fingernails. They fought, she said softly, with some mania or with each other. By noon, crime scene techs had packed the area with tripods, evidence bags, and high-powered lights. Reporters were already circling like vultures, their headlines writing themselves. Two women dead in mountain mystery, the kind of story that drew eyes and suspicion in equal measure. That evening, Nora sat in her office, staring at the photos. Amy Lowell was a research assistant at the University of Washington, specializing in environmental mapping. The second woman, later identified as Harper Voss, was a travel blogger known for her off-grid expeditions. They'd checked into a Silver Pine motel 3 days earlier under their real names. Surveillance footage showed them laughing, sharing snacks, carrying maps. No sign of distress. Nora's phone buzzed. It was Elias Carter, the ranger. Sheriff, you need to see this, he said. At his cabin near the ranger station, Elias had laid out a map of Falls Creek. These trails said they don't line up with the standard park routes, he said, pointing to red markings. I found this in Harper's backpack. She was following something else. Look here, EA Route 9. That's not a trail, that's an old mining path, sealed off since '92. Nora frowned. Mining path? For what? Silver extraction, Elias said, but the site was shut down after a cave-in killed 6 workers. Locals say the mountain never stopped whispering after that. Folklore wasn't Nora's thing, but she couldn't ignore the evidence. Harper and Amy had gone somewhere they shouldn't have, and someone had made sure they didn't come back. 2 days later, Nora drove to the Falls Creek mine entrance with Elias and forensic geologist Dr. Minicho. Snow crunched under their boots as they approached the rusted gate. It had been forced open recently. Inside, the air was damp and metallic. Flashlights cut through the darkness, illuminating old machinery, broken rails, and piles of rock. They were definitely here, Mina said, kneeling beside a boot print. 2 different treads, one matching Amy's size. Elias stopped near a collapsed section of wall. Sheriff, he called. She joined him, and he pointed to a glimmer half buried in the rubbly. A small, silver pendant engraved with a mountain symbol. Nora bagged it carefully. We'll test it for prints. Back in Silver Pine, Nora met with Amy's brother, Daniel Lowell, who had driven in from Seattle. His face was paled, eyes red from sleepless nights. Amy called me 2 days before she disappeared, he said. She sounded a broken bar different. Excited, but nervous. She said she and Harper found something big in the mountains. Something worth dying for, she joked. Did she say what it was? Nora asked. Number. Just that she'd send proof once they confirmed it. That phrase stuck with Nora. Something worth dying for. Later that night, Nora sat alone in her office again, re-watching the motel footage. At 9:14 p.m. on their second night, Harper left the room, carrying her backpack. 10 minutes later, She returned, but not alone. A man in a dark jacket followed her in. His face was mostly hidden by a hood, but there was a glimpse of his wrist, a silver watch, cracked near the clasp. "Freeze that," Nora told the tech. The image sharpened just enough to show a logo, Everline Minerals. That company had on the old Falls Creek mine before it shut down. The next morning, Nora visited the town's records office. The Everline file was thick, filled with lawsuits and environmental complaints, but buried among them was a single inspection report from the year before the closure. It mentioned unreported excavation beyond permitted depth, illegal digging, a cover-up. She returned to the mine with a search warrant and a small team. Near the same collapsed wall, Elias found a narrow crevice leading deeper underground. They squeezed through carefully, flashlights bouncing off damp rock, and then they saw it, a chamber half natural, half dougal, lined with raw veins of shimmering silver and something else, blue crystals embedded in the rock, glowing faintly. Mina knelt to examine them. "Not just silver," she whispered. "Cobaltite mixed with a rare mineral compound. This could be worth millions." And then Nora understood. Amy and Harper had stumbled onto something huge. They'd found what Everline had tried to hide decades ago, but someone else had found them first. The team emerged into daylight to find a figure waiting near the tree line. The man from the motel footage. He turned to run, but Elias was faster, tackling him to the snow. His name was Warren Daly, a former Everline employee turned local contractor. In the interrogation room, under the hum of fluorescent lights, his arrogance melted fast. "I didn't mean to kill them," he said. "They weren't supposed to die." "Then what were they doing in that mine?" Nora asked. "They found the samples," he said. "They were going to publish the location." "Do you know what that would have done?" "That mineral vein is worth billions. My investors are hell. My entire career would have gone up in flames." "So you silenced them?" Warren slammed his hands on the table. "I tried to scare them off. I followed them up there, just to get the samples back, but Harper wouldn't stop screaming." She slipped, hit her head. Amy panicked, tried to run. "I went after her, and a broken bar." He trailed off, burying his face in his hands. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that." Nora's jaw tightened. "You left them there to freeze." He nodded, defeated. "I didn't think anyone would find them." "But someone always finds the truth," she thought, "especially in a town like Silver Pine, where secrets have long shadows." 2 weeks later, the snow began to melt. The mountains looked peaceful again, indifferent to what they had witnessed. Nora stood at Falls Creek, the morning sun turning the ice to silver. Reporters had moved on, the world's attention already shifting to newer tragedies. But for the people of Silver Pine, the echoes of that discovery lingered. Amy and Harper were buried side by side in the town cemetery. Daniel Lowell attended quietly, holding his sister's pendant in his hand. He approached Nora after the ceremony. "They were just chasing the truth," he said. "That's what makes it hurt most." Nora nodded. "They found it, even if it cost them everything." He gave her a sad smile. "Do you ever get used to that? People dying for the truth?" "No," she said. "You just learn how to carry it." That night, as the wind howled across the peaks, Nora sat by her window overlooking the valley. The official report was done. Warren Dale was behind bars, and the mine was sealed for good. But something about it still gnawed at her. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out the pendant. The engraving wasn't just a mountain up, it was a map, tiny ridges and lines forming a pattern. She laid it over the old mining map, aligning the markings. A chill ran down her spine. There was another chamber, one they hadn't found. She stared out at the dark silhouette of the mountains. Somewhere out there, beneath rock and time, the real secret of Falls Creek was still waiting. The snow began to fall again, softer in soundliness, covering the ground like a promise. Nora whispered to herself, some mysteries never die. But she knew, come spring, she'd be back up there because justice might have been served. But the mountain hadn't finished speaking. And as the cold wind swept through the valley, carrying echoes of laughter and loss, The legend of the Falls Creek mystery took root in the hearts of those who'd lived through it, a reminder that truth, like the mountains, is both beautiful and cruel. In Silver Pine, people would tell the story for years to come, about two women who chased discovery into the wild, and a sheriff who followed their trail into the dark, about the race to solve what the earth itself had tried to hide. And sometimes, on foggy mornings, when the mist curled low and the creek whispered through the rocks, hikers claimed they could hear faint voices calling out through the wind at two women laughing, as if finally free from the weight of the world. But only the mountain knows for sure.